invention of the teenager is essentially us treating adults as children.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got this way of sort of keeping them dependent, and we're not really training them to become adults
Yeah.
in this period.
Yeah.
When they should be learning how to become independent,
Mm-hmm.
we're beating them down with a stick and telling them, no, you're still kids. No, you're still kids. No, you're still kids. And what happens is that's what they're learning to be. They're learning to be children.
Yeah.
And so when they leave that education system, we have this problem where now we've just trained an army of adult children.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this everywhere you go. And you know the saying, there's the cycle, a weak society, or no, hard times create strong men.
Mm-hmm.
Strong men create good times create weak men.
Yep.
Weak men create hard times.
Yep.
And we're in that stage now where we've got good times and we're making weak men. And what we mean by weak men is childish men, children, soft people that can't deal with hardship, don't want anything to do with it, don't know what real problems are. So that if their phone backs up, or if it crashes or their internet speed slows down, they go into a panic.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to deal with this? If there's someone, like we've seen these videos where the women are being attacked by men, and the men in the society don't do nothing about it. They run off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why is that? Because we're raising weaklings. We're raising people that are soft, that are accustomed to leisure, to pleasure, to lack of sacrifice, to liberty. Yeah. They don't want to do things that might take that away from them. And if you get injured in a fight, like your freedoms are limited. So like this is what people are obsessed with right now. But it is going to undermine itself. And if we, the Muslims, can stick to the Quran and the Sunnah, if we can follow Allah's religion, Allah will grant us success. And you could see how that trickles and how that will happen. And I think a lot of people, they're becoming disenfranchised with modern Western secular liberalism because they're seeing this. They're seeing that this is just nonsense. This is crap. This doesn't lead to victory. This isn't going to get us anywhere. And in Islam, you have victory in this world and in the next. If you follow it, that you're not going to be obsessed with the highs and you're not going to have to suffer through the lows. That everything is going to become a source of pleasure or a source of comfort to you, whether it's good, whether it's bad. In hardship, there's a like a bitter sweetness to it. Anyone who's sincere in their belief will feel this, that they know Allah is testing them and that there is goodness in it. Allah is forgiving my sins. Allah is purifying me.
Preparing you for a greater future.
Yes, exactly. And you look at the Palestinians as a perfect example of this. That beautiful brother who lost his grandchild and like his face. So I couldn't imagine going through what he was going through and looking so in control of himself. I'd have been pathetic.
SubhanAllah.
I'd have broken down in tears. And that was a rajul, that was a man, who was able to control his emotions in some of the harshest of circumstances and inspire millions of people around the world who were lucky enough to witness this man in action in an organic, natural moment with the death of a child in his hands and closing her eyes and kissing her. SubhanAllah, like this is the consequence of Iman, of belief, of Islam, what it does to those who embody it and who absorb its teachings into their heart.
And there's an amazing poet who says, give deprivation its due and find intimacy with it. Because deprivation, it's like a location that Allah put you, right? It's like a state that Allah puts you in. There's a reason he put you in there. Give it its due and you'll see the fruit come out later on of deprivation. And I think when I look at the things that are necessary, I don't think that there's any motivation other than belief, right? So getting off of intoxicants, getting married, sacrificing all this stuff that you could be doing, having children, more sacrifice on top of that, and then taking care of your children, because some people have children and they bounce, right? They can't take it anymore and they leave. So I don't see that anybody can get through this except that they have a modicum of Iman and belief that this is what's right and that Allah will guarantee me that I'm not going to regret this and that I'm actually one day going to look back and say this was far better than living the single life. And there has to be someone that Allah puts around you to compare against, right?
Yes.
So we do know people who are living, let's say not unmarried, because Muslims can't go on like that, but let's say married, and then they're just living like kids with not having kids, like living like teenagers or young adults, just crisscrossing the world, having a blast, right? Saving their money, all that. And it seems to me like they're doing stuff that we can't do. But then again, let's fast forward in a few years when you're 40 and you're 50 and that doesn't look right anymore. And it doesn't, and you've seen everywhere in the world. Like, what else is there to do when you hit 50 and 60, right?
Yes.
What else is there to do, right? Except share your experience now with the next generation of your kids. So who's happier, the 65-year-old who's got 5 grandkids and 4 kids, or the 65-year-old that's just alone with his 65-year-old spouse? Right?
Yeah, and there's a couple of other things we could probably talk about as well, because there is an issue in that sort of forever young mentality that couples have. In that, as people get older, and I know it's a horrible thing to sort of make mention to or draw the light to, but as people get older, men and women develop differently in age. Mm-hmm. And I've heard this, and this is something that women specifically have said to me on numerous occasions, that as men get older, they become more attractive, or they become more desirable. And as women get older, they don't necessarily follow that same trajectory. And for this couple that are sort of in this forever young mentality, eventually what happens is women hit menopause and things like that. And there's all these sort of difficulties and things. And if there's not some sort of structure there to protect them, if there's not something there for them in terms of children, you see this a lot, especially like and it's not in every case, there's always exceptions to the rules, but the couples who are like, I'm never going to have children, I'm never going to have children, when they get old, there's not really much joining them anymore. And so divorce rates, especially in like secular environments, can be quite high as a result of this, because children are like a glue between people. Like you love someone not just because they're beautiful, or because they're young, or because they're fun, or because of this, but because they are the mother of your children. That you have been bonded by blood. That there is something special about these people now, because of the fact that you have this connection through others, through a family. And when you get older, even if things don't work out for whatever reason, you've got comfort. And one of my favorite du'as to make for people is, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you many children and many grandchildren that will be a sweetness in your old age, that, even if 1 or 2 of them are crap, there's still plenty of them that will come visit you and spend time with you, and not just pie you off into an old people's home.